Coming up on Sunday Sports Day, the great chase continues, and new faces are in new places as Atlanta's Manning era begins, and Jeff Hornacek's Jazz play with the Rockets, and new faces in Florida as full squad workouts begin. The Huskies slam the Big East door. Ricky Birdsong is on the sidelines again, but is he all there?
You spend a lot of time on the phone to relatives trying to assure them that you're not somewhere barking up a move.
Also, Billy Crystal takes a whimsical look at baseball's latest Hall of Famer.
I'll never forget your first day. Mantle up. There's Mickey. Hey, he looks smaller from up here. Isn't it weird? It's just weird.
Sunday Sports Day is making an impact, so get a grip. Next.
Sports Weekly is presented by Delta Airlines.
Good morning, I'm Dick Schaff, and welcome to Sunday Sports Day, February 27th, 1994. 2.5 hours of news, views, reviews, and previews, highlights and sidelights, cheers and jeers. The Winter Olympics come to an end today, and for the United States, this has been the most lucrative, a record 13 medals, and the most ludicrous. Chris Fowler is with us, ready to guide us through Sports Weekly, our opening hour. And Chris, we had drama from Dan and from Bonnie, and melodrama from Tanya and Nancy. In your eyes, who was the star of these games?
Well, first of all, Dick, good morning. Glad to have you back. You look relatively thought out.
Well, it's nice not to have steam coming out of my mouth.
I think Bonnie Blair is so good that we take her for granted now, and that's the ultimate compliment. But my memories of these games have to be all those blue and red flags of Norway waving everywhere you looked. What a proud moment for those people.
A lot of those flags were waving for my favorite guy at the games, Johan Olav Koss, who pushes peace the way American athletes push sneakers.
We'll kick around more Olympic stuff and a lot of other stuff as we continue this morning. But first of all, we'll start out with the best of the West Coast hoops. Houston in Utah last night. And the Rockets' Robert Horry has a theory. Hit too many of your shots early in a game, you run the risk of using them all up and not having any hoops left when you really need them in crunch time. If there's any validity in that, Houston could have done a better job of pacing itself last night in Utah. The first Jazz game for Jeff Hornacek. He's happy he didn't have to carry this team for a change. Hornacek penetrates, gets to the mailman, who started slowly but then came on. Then Jay Humphries. Hornacek, his first field goal as a member of a Jazz, a 19-5 Utah run to erase an early Rockets lead. Robert Horry, meanwhile, spinning by Stockton, puts it in, and the Rockets still had a 2-point lead at the break in the second half. Malone and Stockton get together for a chat, and the mailman cashes in, and the Jazz win it eventually by 10 points. The mailman had 28, Akeem 23 and 9, but the perimeter guys could not hit when the Jazz collapsed on the big guy. Rudy T said we had 2 dead quarters. Hornacek said his first night with Utah felt weird, but good.
I wish I would have played better in my first Jazz game, but you know, the main thing is we won the game, and you know, that's a great feeling for me, is that I can play bad and the team could still win.
Meanwhile, Danny Manning's first night as a Hawk, getting last-minute instructions and then getting his chance. Mookie to Manning. He makes his first shot as a Hawk and then shares the wealth here. Manning, nice little feed to Andrew Lang. Banks it home. On defense, Manning, after the free throw miss, hustles, makes the save, and gets acquainted with a few Atlanta fans right there. No lack of hustle on the defensive end as well, tying up Orlando Woolridge, drawing the foul. Manning also hitting the boards. Dwayne Farrell misses. Manning from the free throw line gets the offensive rebound and the putback. And finally, a little scoring on the baseline. The pump fake, and he gets it to go. A little bit of everything from Manning. He had 10 points. The Hawks send the Sixers to their 9th straight loss. 8 Hawks in double figures. Dwayne Farrell, he likes life as a starter. A team-high 21, and Manning, 5 of 9, 5 rebounds, 6 assists in 25 minutes.
I'm happy with where I'm at. You know, I enjoyed my time in L.A. in terms of being able to establish myself in this league, and you know, I've got sentimental ties there. Bought my first home there. My children were born there, but you know, I'm happy with where I'm at.
In Portland, Spurs and Blazers, and the Admiral getting extra attention. This is Harvey Grant flying across, rejecting Robinson right there. Robinson frustrated, charging Bennett Salvatore, and that will get you a tee every time. Then he was hit by some Blazers. Two guys hammer him. No call. The ball goes off Robinson. He still had a good night. But Clyde the Glide was the star. The anticipation, the steal, and the slam. It's been a frustrating season for the perennial all-star. Strickland feeding Drexler for the dunk. Pom Pom Mom says, I remember Clyde when he was a rookie. After a 90-all tie, the Blazers went on a 14-6 run. Really an overdue night for Drexler. He's been hammered by the press, shooting under 40% from the season. The Spurs, they miss a chance to grab the Midwest lead, but still Robinson continues with the brilliant week. It started with that 50-point night against Minnesota. He has averaged 36 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, but still 2 of those 4 games have been Spurs losses. All right, stand by for the Gretzky Watch. The great one will become the all-time goal scorer within a week or two. That's a given. But something that's fast becoming just as inevitable, the Kings, Cup finalists last season, are doomed to miss the playoffs this time, barring a big-time U-turn. In Calgary last night, yes, the great one was there, first period, against Mike Vernon. Winds up, Franks the bank shot off the defenseman's pads. 32 for Gretzky now as he closes on Howe, but the Flames get the goal here. Jim Peck can't clear it. Al McInnes cranks up, fakes, moves in closer. You can't give this guy a slap shot inside the circle. He beats Kelly Rudy. Rudy, sharp on the night, 44 saves, but Calgary dominates. Connecticut's quest for a Big East title. The outgoing seniors flashed their championship rings in the face of Daniel Marshall and challenged him to get his own, to duplicate their dream season of '91. And nothing motivates like envy. And last night, the Huskies went for the conference clincher, hosting Pitt, and struggling in the early going. Then Marshall got him going on both ends. The rejection right there. Eric Mobley, big guy in touch, swats this one away. A block fest early going. Then Marshall steps in. The dish from Kevin Ollie. He finishes the break. The second half, Donnie Marshall gets in on it. The break. The slam. The chin-up. Donnie Marshall also had 15, and Danielle and company excited about the first ever regular season outright Big East title. Now they must focus on bigger goals. Fair, Donnie and Danielle each had 15 points. The Huskies win their first ever outright Big East title. They stay perfect at home. By the way, of the 14 regular season Big East champs, only 6 have gone on to win the Big East tournament. Pitt, meanwhile, has fallen off the bubble. 7 straight loss. They are at 13-12 now. Arkansas and Auburn. First half, Roger Crawford, the bullet pass. Lee Wilson knows what to do with it. Then Corey Beck, Darrell Robinson. Corliss inside with the thunder dunk. Second half, Wesley Person tries to keep the Tigers close. 2 of his 22. He would keep them close. Nolan worried. Auburn a chance to win it in the closing minutes. But the Hogs made the plays when they had to. Scotty Thurman to Williamson to Dwight Stewart. Razorbacks pull away, win it by 10. Thurman had 21. Corliss had 20. The Hogs have won 10 straight. They take over first in the SEC West with Florida's loss to Vandy. The surging Golden Bears and the slumping Trojans, a thriller. Jason Kidd up by 11 with 7 minutes to go. Then the Trojans turned up the D. Stacey Bosman picks off. Kidd goes clean the other way. USC back within 3. Kidd comes back, finds Lamont Murray for the hoop in the hat. Cal by 3, 5 seconds to go. Bert Harris puts on some moves, beats the buzzer, ties it. We go to overtime. And USC would dominate in the extra session. Harris, the stutter step. 2 more, a career-high 23. George Raveling consoling Jason Kidd as the Trojans win it by 8 in overtime. Harris, 6 threes. Kidd, 15 points, 9 assists, 9 rebounds. But the loss, all but erasing Cal's chances of a Pac-10 title. Todd Bozeman says we're playing for a bigger prize. Boxing in London, a rusty underdog stunned the WBA super middleweight champ and ruined Don King's plans for a big money bout. You hate it when that happens. Steve Lightning Little, Michael second to none. None not faring well. Little puts him down the hook. In round 1, right there in round 1, Nunn would get up and finish the fight. But the split decision goes to the winner and new WBA super middleweight champ. Little winning on 2 of the 3 scorecards, so the big unification bout plan between Nunn and Nigel Benn is off. Don King says he's unsure what will happen now. A long way to go this morning / afternoon on Sunday Sports Day. A Michael Jordan update, struggling with Kirk McCaskill, but flashing some leather down in spring training. Meanwhile, his former team was lurching along last night, trying to cope with Reggie Miller and the Pacers. Highlights ahead. Welcome back. A painful double whammy for a Dallas star, a thriller in the Igloo, an unexpected thriller in the Dean Dome, and a surprise in the Chicago Stadium on our Saturday wrap. We'll start with the Pacers and the Bulls in Chicago. Pacers have come close to beating the Bulls there in the past. They got the job done last night. Reggie Miller steals the ball and the show. He had 21 and some baloney shooting. Horace Grant the brick, Pete Myers the airball, Scottie Pippen is rejected. Larry Brown says we're going to win Chicago Stadium. More Miller time for the three. Pacers win it by 10. Florida State visiting Chapel Hill, and Pat Kennedy's team perhaps smelling the upset against the fourth-ranked Tar Heels. Didn't happen, though. Derek Phelps, the alley-oop to Rasheed Wallace, the Tar Heels front court, 23 for 23 from the field. They hang on. Penn State at Purdue, never a ball game. Matt Waddell, alley-oop to Justin Jennings, who throws it in backwards. Purdue by as many as 20 in the first half. It got no better for the Lions later. Hank Dove, the steal and the 180 dunk. Now to hockey. On the rinks, the Rangers and the Stars. And Mike Modano about to see stars. Watch here as Mark Messier, boom, knocks his helmet off. Modano out cold. Could it get any worse for him? Well, they took him on a stretcher to an ambulance. Trained medical personnel got to be very careful. Let's get him to the hospital and see what's wrong with him. And then, oops, they dropped the stretcher. Look at Modano's expression. He's okay. It was a mild concussion, although he will miss one game. And the Rangers beaten in Dallas 3-1. Players ever finally winning the heavyweight try on his 5th try at age 37, when most felt he should have retired. Friday night, Arnold Cream, better known as Jersey Joe Walcott, died in a Camden, New Jersey hospital at the age of 80. He was maybe best remembered for his 2 bouts with the champion Joe Louis. Many believe he was robbed in a split decision loss in 1947. After taking the title from Ezzard Charles, his career ended with a knockout by Rocky Marciano. As we continue this morning, a look at the NBA season's biggest swap as the Hawks deal a local landmark and tinker with the chemistry in exchange for younger legs. Plus, Tom Coughlin walks away from his rebuilding job at BC to start from scratch in Jacksonville. But who will coach in Carolina with Joe Gibbs having said no thanks? And our stab at satisfying the cable sports viewers' increasing appetite for poetry. In a bout over Bucks, the champ fired his trainer while McSorley served time for his eye-gouging no-brainer. A 9-time bridesmaid was finally a bride, while Hoke maintained hope and got off the schneid. With a capsule summary of what made news, Mike Tirico delivers the Week in Review.
Yay and nay in the world of NFL expansion, Tom Coughlin did an about-face on Boston College, accepting the position as the Jacksonville Jaguars' first head coach. The Eagles found success under Coughlin, finished ranked 13th this season, and he's afraid his announcement may clip the team's wings.
No way will I try to make them understand. I just hope that in the opportunity to look at the playing field and the challenges that are out there, that they can somehow understand that choices have to be made in life, and this is one that we felt we had to make.
Carolina isn't necessarily on Joe Gibbs' mind, as he declined to pounce on the Panthers' head coaching job. Gibbs' crossing of the Mason-Dixon line has been rumored for months, but Joe for now has nixed the move, citing his desire to spend more time with his family. Emmanuel Stewart won't be spending any more time with Evander Holyfield for now. He was fired in a dispute over money just 2 months before Evander defends his heavyweight title against Michael Moore. Holyfield turning to Doc Turner as his new trainer, his 3rd trainer in less than 2 years. On the high banks, it was Sterling Marlin's turn. After 20 years of trying and 279 Winston Cup starts, Marlin finally got the checkered flag first. Sterling had finished in second 9 times in Winston Cup races, but the 1994 Daytona 500 victory lane was all his as he led the race's final 20 laps, beating Ernie Irvan by 23 1/100ths of a second. It wasn't that close during the Bob Hope Classic as Scott Hoke coasted to a final round 2 under par 70, his first tour win in 5 years. On the senior links, Mike Hill shot a course record 9 under 63 in the final round to win the senior PGA Intellinet Challenge. His 15 under par 201 gives Hill his 16th win since joining the tour in 1989. Well, joining the suspended ones, Marty McSorley, the king of swing, getting a 4-game suspension for this eye-gouging incident against San Jose left winger Bob Erie. McSorley will be eligible to play for the Kings February 28th against Montreal. And speaking of suspensions on ice, Tanya Harding had a pretty icy conversation with CBS's Connie Chung, and that ultimately led to a suspension of the interview.
You're about to answer that. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with this. Thanks, honey.
The reshaping of college sports continues as alliances are made in the ongoing war for TV dollars. By 1996, the Big Eight will be a super conference after gobbling up half of the Southwest Conference. Baylor, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and Texas will say see it to the Southwest Conference, seeking bigger bucks in a 12-team league, which is now negotiating a new football TV contract starting in a couple of years. There's speculation the now unnamed conference will split into 6-team divisions with an annual title game in football. As far as the remaining 4 Southwest Conference teams are concerned, the new super conference could be called the Dirty Dozen. The 2 Houston and Dallas schools are searching for new allegiances. All right, a lot still ahead. Later, Billy Crystal's heartfelt tribute to the Hall of Fame-bound Scooter, a man he considers the Byron of the ballparks. And the spring training update, baseball's search for new stars, and Michael copes with big league stuff.
I guess with the pitches, you know it's coming at you pretty hard, and you got to react. And I come from a sport that you got to react instinctively.
Live here above the Arctic Circle, where tolerable temperatures are still about 3 months away. Carl Ravitch reports on the land of sunny days and sunny outlooks, a spring training wrap-up of faces in new places.
The East Coast was bombarded by another snowstorm, and even the new Cleveland Stadium was not spared from Mother Nature. Meanwhile, in Florida and Arizona, spring training continued. The Indians feeling more optimistic with the acquisitions of several new pitchers.
You know, you can kind of see that, you know, for the last couple of years we've been saying that pitching has been the area that we need to work on, and we've got that, and you can kind of see the difference in everyone's face or, you know, how they're going about things because they know we can win.
In Tempe, Arizona, the Angels' new outfielder, Bo Jackson, took his first swings and expressed no bitterness over leaving the White Sox.
Players are commodities, and whenever a team feels that you are no longer an asset to them, they got to move on.
And finally, where would spring training be without a Michael Jordan story? Friday, he had his toughest day, making good contact with only one of Kirk McCaskill's 29 pitches. He did have a potential play of the week in the field, sort of.
He was just trying to make it to ESPN's place of the week or something like that. I don't know.
You guys were all over him.
Yes. And we will be the whole spring, too.
At the last moment, I felt like I had to die for it, and I caught it. I don't care.
It may be freezing outside, but as soon as I see a palm tree and a baseball hat, it feels like spring to me, even if the head underneath looks more like a basketball. The sights and sounds of spring training are everywhere. Leather on leather, leather hitting wood, fans chanting, "Darryl, Darryl." Spring means rebirth, and who's been reborn more times than this guy? Personally, I can't wait to see John Kruk. He said he was going to do some spring cleaning on himself. You know what the problem is? If he goes too far, he'll confuse his fans. They'll be asking, who's on first? Spring training's great for the fans. They can get close to their favorite players. Maybe take a snapshot or two. I hear the Tampa PD does it every year. But you know what the best thing is for me? No more ice skating stories. Tanya and Nancy don't play baseball. Although, when there's no commissioner, just about anything is possible.
Michael, George Brett is retired, Nolan Ryan is retired, and you have not. Who can you write about in spring training now? Who are the stars?
Oh, man, Dick, I think this is one of the great times in the history of baseball for young stars, and baseball has got to get the message out about Ken Griffey Jr. and Juan Gonzalez and Roberto Alomar and people like that. At a time when the NBA is trying to sell you, zillion-dollar contracts for people like Derek Coleman and Larry Johnson, baseball has cornered the market on exciting young talents, and I'm hoping that this is the year that dominates the coverage and not all the stuff that's wrong with the sport.
What's the first thing you would do if you were in charge of that?
I would come up with a campaign, some kind of smart advertising campaign that goes with all the stuff you see in basketball about the guys that I mentioned. And I would hope that one of these days, especially for the Hispanic stars, that, that you can find out that they'll sell your stuff just as good as anybody else.
Make spikes as hot as sneakers.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael, and back to you.
Baseball's not had a history of marketing individual stars. I agree, they need to start doing that. Later on, the story behind the strange behavior of Northwestern's Ricky Birdsong. What do his players think of his weird walkout? And did it work? Also, we'll talk some football. Chris Mortensen will join us. Eric Kramer among the guys in the quarterback derby who collects big bucks with the new team. The Bears snagged Eric Kramer from the champions of the black and blue division. 3 years, $8.1 million. Obviously now opens the way for a mutually hoped-for trade of Jim Harbaugh. All-Pro DB Nate Odom shuffles out of Buffalo, signing with Seattle, $8.4 million over 4 years. The AFC's co-leader in picks last year. And looking to leave Seattle, lineman Andy Heck, who signed an offer sheet with the Bears. The Hawks have a chance to match it until Tuesday. And joining us now from Atlanta is Chris Mortensen with more in this NFL Shuffle. Good morning, Mort. There are going to be a lot of quarterbacks on the move here. Now, with Kramer going to Chicago, you know, Harbaugh wants out. They want him out. Where's he headed?
Well, I think Harbaugh only has to look to the Indianapolis Colts, Chris, because that's where Bill Tobin is running the football operation, and it was Tobin who drafted Harbaugh for the Chicago Bears. So, you know, what's that do with Jeff George? Well, Tobin's entertaining offers for Jeff George. The Redskins and Falcons, they're pretty serious suitors there. You know, George is a guy who's got a pretty quick arm, good release. The Falcons think he would be ideal in the run-and-shoot offense. The Lions, who used to run the run-and-shoot, Chris, they need a quarterback worse than anybody. Hey, they're interested in George. They'd like Warren Moon of the Houston Oilers, and they had Scott Mitchell in this week. Mitchell, a free agent. The Vikings also had Mitchell in. Where does that leave Jimmy Mack? Well, Buddy Ryan would love to have Jimmy Mack with the Phoenix Cardinals, Chris.
Buddy loves those guys he's been associated with in the past, and he's fallen into a good situation there in Phoenix. But as far as defensive players, a couple of ex-guys, he was with the Eagles, Joyner and Simmons. Is he going to make a serious move for those guys?
Well, Joyner is palling around with Buddy this weekend in Phoenix. In fact, I think Seth's trying to get Buddy to go to that Knicks-Suns game today. Now, as far as Clyde goes, Clyde has a visit scheduled to Phoenix on Thursday. But the Cardinals do have some cap problems. I don't think they're going to be able to afford both Seth and Clyde. Their focus is on Seth primarily.
The Jets now, they've talked about needs at receiver. They're interested in David Palmer, I know. Are they going to lose Rob Moore?
Well, they're another team with some cap problems, and the Chicago Bears are recruiting Rob Moore. But more so, John Elway of the Denver Broncos is recruiting Moore. Elway, of course, short on receivers. Moore, one of the better ones. So I really think Moore and the Broncos could be a match.
We talked about Buddy Ryan. What about Norv Turner, the other new coach? A lot less to work with as far as talent than Ryan. What major changes can he make with the Redskins, if any?
Well, not only does Norv need a quarterback, it looks like he's going to need some wide receivers because the Cleveland Browns want to talk to Art Monk. Art Monk's a veteran. Of course, there's been some unhappiness there. The Redskins probably ready to let him go. Also, Ricky Sanders is going to visit the San Diego Chargers this week. And Sanders, of course, could hook up with old general manager Bobby Beathard. And then the Redskins were offering Desmond Howard in that package with the Indianapolis Colts. So Norv's going to need a quarterback and some receivers.
And coaching items now. Joe Gibbs turns down the Carolina Panthers job. Who are the candidates? Who are they turning to now?
Well, I think this gives Gibbs a chance to change his mind in January. I don't think Carolina will hire a coach till January. They'll take another run, I'm sure, at Steve Spurrier, maybe Dennis Erickson, maybe Wisconsin's Barry Alvarez. And remember, Jacksonville might have set a trend here. You hire a college coach with some NFL experience. In the age of free agency, with turnovers, NFL clubs are on 4-year programs, a lot like the colleges, Chris.
And the college guys are proving they can do the job. All right.
Yes,
thanks
absolutely.
a lot, Mort. Get back to the phones. We'll talk to you next week. The developments will continue in the NFL, no doubt about that. Coming up, a review of college hoops combative week. This item, the Temple UMass fireworks were on the court, not in the press conference, thankfully. Plus, we'll continue with a lot more on Sunday Sports Day.
Or there was
Charles Barkley annoyed and Pat Riley embarrassed as the NBA's Wheel of Fortune spun at full speed. Playing the part of Vanna White, Linda Cohn turns the letters in our weekly Pro Hoops review.
A wheel of many fortunes in the NBA this week. On Monday, the T-Wolves could only stand and admire David Robinson. The Admiral scoring 50 points, too shy of his career best, as the Spurs won 114-89, setting a franchise record with 13 straight wins. The Wolves' outlook going into that game wasn't good. Christian Laettner was serving a 1-game suspension imposed by the Wolves for yelling obscenities at assistant coach Bob Weinhauer during Sunday's practice. That outburst cost Laettner nearly $33,000.
I think if you allow one guy to get away with things like that, you lose the other guys. And to me, it's more important to keep 12 guys and lose one guy than to keep one guy and lose 12 guys.
The Knicks encountered one frustrating game after another. Since beating the Bulls 86-68 on Sunday, they have dropped 3 straight, their longest regular season losing streak since November of '92. The Knicks tossed up mostly bricks on Tuesday in a 93-82 loss to the Sonics. They hit just over 28% from the floor, an NBA season low.
Of all the games that I've coached in 2.5 years here, I have never seen a team more flat, more unprepared to play a game. I don't have an explanation for it. And it's probably one of the most embarrassing things that I've ever seen on this floor.
The Knicks will try to rebound against the Suns in Phoenix this afternoon. That's where Sir Charles has had more trouble in court than on the court. Barkley is accused of assaulting a fan after a Nets game back in December of '92, but Charles maintains his innocence.
He's just another guy who doesn't want to work for a living.
And that's why you're intending to fight
That's
this
why
all?
I'm here. I'm not going to give anybody money who, you know, but you guys make them famous for 15 minutes and they think I'm going to settle out of court, and I'm not going to settle.
The Celtic mystique lingers no longer, and now the NBA's most successful franchise is in despair. Friday, Boston lost its 11th straight game, breaking the club record set back in 1949. And as the NBA trading deadline approached, the future for 2 big-name players changed. Dominique Wilkins' chances for an NBA title may be finished. After 12 years with Atlanta, the Hawks sent Neek to the Clippers for Danny Manning, a move that has upset many.
Well, they could have been more straight up with me. They could have been more honest with me, and they wasn't, you know, in my opinion.
And told you more point blank that they were thinking?
Yeah, they were thinking about making a trade, or there was talks, and they was just saying, well, you know, it's nothing. There's no deals been made, and we're not talking that much, and, you know, I just think it was a bunch of crap.
Dominique Wilkins is Atlanta Hawks basketball, and was for a while.
Well, I mean, he's been a mainstay, you know, forever in Atlanta, almost like Del Murphy was for the Braves. You know what I mean? And like Deion said, you know, no matter how much you do for an organization, there's going to come a time where they figure you can't help them no more. You got to go.
Coming up on SportsCenter, more on the Celtics and also the Lakers' chances of rebuilding. And ahead in Sports Weekly, the debate about Derek. He's gotten the big money from Jersey, but not universal respect from his peers yet. Plus, do his peers or his players know what to make of Coach Ricky Birdsong? What's he up to next?
It was just that as the days continue to go, it was like, yeah, you know, this may not be going in the direction that I thought it would.
More top 25 basketball scores from yesterday. Mizzou stays perfect in the Big 8, 99-83 over Oklahoma. Arizona wins on the road as well, and Florida's loss cost them the lead in the SEC. Well, NCAA bracket day is looming 2 weeks from today, and as teams brace for the stretch run, the week was marked by a small school milestone, a brawl, some Kentucky charity stripe pranksters, and the heavily hyped rematch between those hot-blooded Johns Chaney and Calipari. Gary Miller recaps.
Get out of my face or I'll put your ass out of here! It looks like everyone needs to chill a bit. Emotions ran high Thursday in the rematch between UMass and Temple. Both coaches remained relatively calm, but the teams put on an intense performance. UMass got out to a 30-21 halftime lead, but Temple, behind Eddie Jones in his final home game as a senior, 22 points, rallies the Owls and gives them a 2-point lead with under a minute remaining. But the hero in the first matchup between these two played hero again. Michael Williams' 3-point banked bomb from 25 feet with 8 seconds remaining gave Massachusetts a 51-50 win. After the game, both coaches shook hands and spoke about the game and not the incident.
It wasn't a thing where I felt that it was going to be difficult to walk over and shake a guy's hand. I'm beyond that stage. I'm just too old.
I loved it because this is what we live for, this kind of game, this kind of intensity, this kind of pressure as far as if you win or lose.
Also in the Big East, Tuesday night, BC Pitt, also a thriller to the end. With the Eagles up 3 late, Gerard Abrams misses an easy lay-in that could have clinched the game. After a Pitt 2-pointer ties it, Abrams again misses another easy lay-in that would have given the Eagles the lead, but with time running down, it was Abrams. With the ball, this time he nailed it. BC comes away 80-77 victorious. A team that did not miss much this week, Nebraska. Wednesday, the Cornhuskers upset Kansas 96-87, 61% shooting from the field in the first half. 33 points from Eric Kwiatkowski led Nebraska to the upset victory. And someone else who has not missed many shots in his career, John Pierce of NAIA Lipscomb. In his 144th game,
This layup gives Pierce 4,108 career points, making him college basketball's all-time leading scorer. He breaks the record that was held by his roommate as a freshman, Phil Hutchison. Hoops were not flying Thursday between Delaware State and Howard. Punches were. A bench-clearing brawl in the second half delayed the game for half an hour. 3 players from each side ejected. And finally, a lesson on fair play this week. Kentucky head coach Rick Pitino suspended Travis Ford, Jamel Martinez, and Jared Pickett for Wednesday's game against Tennessee over the players' free throw swapping incident with Vanderbilt. In a game against Vandy, twice Kentucky switched shooters, substituting a better one to take the free throws. Upon hearing this at a team meeting Monday, Pitino suspended the 3 and apologized to the Commodores. The 3 players weren't missed too much. Kentucky did defeat Tennessee 77-73.
Back on the bench this week, the man who's invented his own school of motivation, Northwestern's Ricky Birdsong. After convincing his bosses that he hasn't cracked up, the coach returned to cheers. As Pam Oliver reports, Birdsong's unsure how his antics will affect his program, but he does know one thing. His mid-game visits to the stands are over.
The man on the hot seat for not taking the right seat admitted to a bad case of nerves. Will the unconventional first-year head coach still be a crowd favorite for Northwestern? The answer, yes.
Once the crowd cheered, it made me feel good that they were understanding.
Ricky Birdsong knew coaching the Big Ten doormats would present special challenges.
He's really trying to turn around a program that hasn't won in, I don't know, seems like 100 years.
Birdsong likes what he calls unique motivational methods, but during his recent 2-week leave of absence, he wondered if he'd gone too far.
I started to question whether or not I might coach again, and I had no real reason to know that I wouldn't, but it was just that as the days continued to go, it was like, well, this may not be going in the direction that I thought it would.
We knew going into the Minnesota game that he had a plan. What he wanted us to focus on is to have courage, and he felt that we weren't showing courage in the games that prior to the Minnesota game.
At Minnesota, Birdsong first handed coaching duties over to assistant Paul Swanson. He later left the bench and went on the court, resulting in a technical. Then the most bizarre scene of the night had Birdsong roaming the stands, high-fiving Gopher fans, and taking a seat in the crowd before returning to a seat at the end of the bench. The objective, Birdsong said, was to create chaos. It worked.
He's willing to do anything for the program, even if it results in people saying negative things about him. We went through some drastic times, and I think it called for drastic action.
He knew what he was doing, and ultimately what he was trying to do is make us better players and make us better people, and I think we have shown that we have become that.
But what Birdsong did in the name of motivation both shocked and confused those closest to him, most notably his wife. Sherilyn Birdsong was so upset she called the school's president. Her concern grew into a university concern, which resulted in her husband's leave of absence.
You spend a lot of time on the phone to relatives trying to assure them that you're not somewhere barking at the moon. I guess, you're trying to make sure they know that you're okay.
During the leave, the length of which was set by the university, rumors about Birdsong ran rampant. The most prevalent, Birdsong just lost it. He had to satisfy school-imposed physical and psychological evaluations before he could come back to work.
You shouldn't be able to, rationalize why a coach would be off the bench and in the stands, so that their concern or their inquiry about the situation is understandable.
You regret the incident more, or just how far it went?
Definitely how far it went. As I look back over it, how far it went, I would take that back.
It would be unfortunate that if in the future he changed too many things about his coaching style, because I think he's done an excellent job.
Let's get back in a focused frame of mind. 5-on-5, all purple jerseys, so that you're focusing now on your teammates.
If there is a lesson Birdsong says he's learned, it's that he may be the coach and the players may appreciate his methods, but ultimately the team and the coach answer to the university.
I'll be staying in the bench area for sure. That's the only thing I know for sure.
The Cats won their first 2 conference games while Birdsong was on hiatus, then gave Indiana a strong run in his first game back. In a few minutes, a treat for Yankee fans from Yankee fan Billy Crystal, a loving homage to the new Hall of Famer Phil Rizzuto. And next, a not-so-loving homage to Derek Coleman, superstar or no superstar.
I think Derek Coleman should be the best power forward, if not the best player in basketball. He's got unbelievable basketball skills, but he doesn't play hard all the time.
Coleman stays in New Jersey, but the power forward did become the league's highest paid player after signing a new 4-year contract worth $30 million. It wasn't the $69 million offer Coleman turned down in preseason, and it wasn't the $90 million deal that he was rumored to be asking for. But the big questions surrounding Derek Coleman have been, is he worth that kind of money? Does he come to play every game? Linda Cohn went in search of answers.
There's no doubt about his talent on the court.
There's no question he could be as talented as anybody in the league. He's one of the top 5 players for sure.
He's, to me, the best forward in the league.
I think he is by far the best power forward in the league today, and the best I've ever seen.
But the $7.5 million a year question is, does Derek Coleman play hard?
I think Derek Coleman should be the best power forward, if not the best player in basketball. He's got unbelievable basketball skills, but he doesn't play hard all the time.
So you're saying he's far short of that. You think he should be far better than he is?
He should be a lot better than he is because he doesn't play hard. Sure, he can dominate games every now and then, but he should dominate every night. He should be, if he played hard every night, he'd be mentioned in the same breath with Magic.
You know, I appreciate the compliment from Charles, and, you know, it's great, but I think Derek Coleman comes to play every night. You know, some nights it's just not there, which every player goes through, you know.
I remember Charles way back when. Charles is one, an MVP last year, an MVP candidate every year, but I can remember when he wasn't quite as mature. And this happens to some players. Some players are mature the day they come into the league. Other guys, it takes them some time.
Despite averaging 21 points and 12 rebounds per game and earning a start in this year's All-Star game, Coleman still can't shake the inconsistent label. Critics question his attitude and his work ethic. On a TNT telecast this year, NBA and former NBA head coach Hubie Brown said Coleman couldn't be called a superstar because he didn't play up to his potential 75 games a season.
Well, what has Hubie Brown accomplished? Huh? Who is Hubie Brown what has he had done in his career? Nothing. I look at my stats and what I say, that's proof enough for itself. I come out and work hard night in, night out, win or lose.
Nevertheless, questions about Coleman's attitude continue, especially as he negotiated the contract that now pays him the highest average salary in the league.
If I were going to start giving that kind of money, I would start with Olajuwon, with Robinson, with Barkley, with Ewing. I think Shaq and Weber are going to be tremendous talents. And Hardaway may be another Magic. So I mentioned a lot of guys that I'd give that kind of money to before I'd give it to Derek.
Everybody has an opinion about you, and you're not going to agree with everything that everybody says, so don't worry about it, Well, Derek Coleman is being Derek Coleman is himself. I don't feel that I have to change, for anybody.
When we continue, the apocalypse, as described by Phil Rizzuto and the rest of Billy Crystal's tribute to the new Hall of Famer.
Takes a ball rolling away. They're saying that they're going to be over 4 million killed. Holy cow.
Coming up at the bottom of the hour on SportsCenter, Nancy Kerrigan talks about her first Olympic conversation with Tanya Harding.
I just said, it's been a tough month for us, huh? And she said yes, and so well, I'll see you down at the pictures. I have to go get ready.
And the Sharks' legacy in Vegas, an act Rowley is finding tough to follow.
Have there been times when you think people have tried to sabotage this program?
Oh, without question. Without question.
Plus, the Lakers and Celtics, two former dynasties in need of a facelift. It's coming up after the sports reporters. Well, what two words were the first out of Phil Rizzuto's mouth when he was told that he'd finally made the Hall of Fame? What else? Holy cow. After almost 4 decades, the ex-Yankee shortstop got the nod from friends like Yogi Berra and Pee Wee Reese On the Veterans Committee, his wait was the longest among guys who played in the last 60 years, 38 years after retiring. Rizzuto said he never gave up, but he also never planned on joining the Hall.
I got a little weak in the knees when Yogi told me, but all of this going on now has kept me from really thinking about it too much, because I think when it does happen, I don't want anybody to be around if I start crying. Holy cow, it couldn't be better than this.
Joining Rizzuto in this year's class, Leo DeRocher, who broke into baseball in 25 and got out 5 decades later after 2008 wins as a skipper, 3 times winning Manager of the Year and providing some of the best rhubarbs with umpires ever. As for Rizzuto, it wasn't his on-the-field baseball play, but his malaprops in the broadcast booth that continue to earn him the endearment of millions. One such devotee, Billy Crystal, pays homage to the Scooter, a man he says belongs among the great wordsmiths of the English language.
You know, when I think of the poetry of Phil Rizzuto, it goes right up alongside the poetry of Carl Sandburg, Walt Whitman. Anybody who's written about America the way they have has got to share some of the glory with number 10, the Scooter. So I would like to read some of my favorite poems of Mr. Rizzuto and share some of those great thoughts with you.
What is this? The selected verse of Phil Rizzuto?
Uh-oh, the boss. Alienation. You know, I think my head shrinks a little in this indoor stadium. I am. The mic is getting bigger, and I have to tighten. Holy cow. Holy cow! Oh, holy cow! Oh, look at that finish! Holy cow! Fly ball right field. It's gonna drop in. No, it's not gonna drop in. Holy cow! And a happy 46th wedding anniversary, Thomas and Mary Ann Clearwater. So that's it. The last 3, 6, 9, 12 Yankees went down in order. So that's it. The game is over. And it says it all, don't you think?
He does a good job, too. He sounds more like me than I do.
Hey, that's it! Holy cow, he did it! Holy cow, look at Jesse Boston! Unbelievable! I want to tell you, my heart won't take it anymore. I'm telling you.
This one is called My Secret. This is a touching poem. I think Phil was writing in a different mood in 1992, August 19th. Oakland at New York, Mike Moore pitching to Mel Hall. 5th inning, 1 out, bases empty. Yankees leading 4-1. This may be Phil's blue period. It's called My Secret. You know, when I'm driving to Yankee Stadium and back, I do it so often. I don't remember passing lights. I don't remember paying tolls coming over the bridge. Going back over the bridge, I remember. Think about it.
That's why I sound like that. Where's the full moon? Is that the moon? That's not the moon.
Look at that. Oh, look at John Moore playing with us.
He almost tricked me.
I'll never forget your first day up there. Mantle up, there's Mickey. Oh, he looks smaller from up here. Isn't it weird? It's just weird. There's a pitch from Steve Barber. There's a home. Holy cow, that one is gonna be grabbed by the shortstop. It's weird up here. You know what I mean? It's just weird. And I watch you, you know, I think that you would handle anything.
You, Huckleberry, these people, I want to tell you, they came all the way from New Jersey to bring these cannolis. Watch that. I want you to watch this now, folks. Watch this. Throws the glass. There it is. Now, that's not gentle. I want you to...
Here's the award-winning cartoonist of the New York Daily News.
If anything ever happened, I would want you at the mic. Here's Mattingly stepping in, and Yankees are down 2-1 here. Mattingly 2 for 3 here in the bottom of the 7th. It's looking better at the plate. They're back, loosening up. Wait, I've just been handed a bulletin. 5 Russian ICBM missiles are headed towards America as Mattingly takes a ball rolling away. They're saying that they're going to be over 4 million killed. Holy cow. As Mattingly fouls it back up here, that's 1-1. The escape routes, they want everyone to head up towards the Catskills. As Mattingly hits a bounding ball over to Chuck Knobloch, he tosses it over to Kirby Puckett. What the hell is he doing at first base? Holy cow, everything's all nuts. So this could be our last Yankee broadcast as they're saying that the impact should be any second. So I'd like to take this time to wish a happy birthday to Dante Pizzanini over in Teaneck, who's got a miniature golf course that Cora and I love. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you. I'm on the bridge. I'm out of here.
We are almost out of here ourselves.